All right, yeah! Thank God for fantasy football. I'm Buster Brown, and the show, it's called Redemption Rehab. Today, we're talking about our weekly waiver wire report that'll help you get some players on your roster that might help you win a championship later this year. Whether it's running back, wide receiver, tight end, or quarterback, we've got some players we like, and we've got some sleepers that are going to get the job done. So buckle up, get out your popcorn, and let's head over to the chalkboard
and check out the facts.
Okay, here we are checking out a waiver wire on a site called RT Sports. If you ever get a chance, check them out. This is the league I'm in. It's a 12-team PPR league, and I'll tell you what, the running backs that are available this week, it's a very short list, but it's very important. You go out and get them if you need a running back. Even if you don't, sometimes picking these guys up will stop a team from beating you this week or the week after. I'll tell you what, the guy that everybody's going to go after this week is a guy out of Atlanta named Tyler Algier. We're going to take a look at their depth chart because Cordell Patterson, their leading running back, is out. He got put on IR, injured reserve. That means he can't play in the next 4 games. So let's take a look at their depth chart and see who we need to pick up for this week. Okay, behind me is the depth chart, courtesy of RT Sports. This is the Atlanta team, and I'm telling you right now, Atlanta's got some issues. They're rebuilding, yet they're still 2-2. They just beat Cleveland, who was lacking some defensive players, and they were able to run the ball. Couldn't pass the ball very well, but they were able to run the ball because Cleveland had some problems. 3 of their 4 starting defensive linemen, 3 of the 4 were out. So they were able to push the ball up the middle, and who was able to do it was Cordell Patterson and this guy, Tyler Algier. As you can see right here, Tyler Algier, he's a rookie running back. Pull up his chart here. You can see right here out of Brigham Young. Hasn't exactly had a great season up to this point. I mean, 3, 4, 11 points. But look at this. 10 rushing attempts for 84 yards, 1 reception for 20 yards. Hey, he's the next in line. That's why everybody's going to go after him. Cordell Patterson is out. Therefore, this guy's going to be next man up. But he's not the only guy. He's just the next guy. Let's take a look at some of the other guys. Okay, one of the other guys we have behind us on the screen is a guy named Caleb Huntley. He had a Ball State. I'll tell you what, this kid was on the practice squad. He got a chance to play against Cleveland. Like I said, their defensive line was depleted. 3 of their 4 starters were out. He comes in and gets 10 carries, 56 yards, and a rushing touchdown. No receptions. He was a little winded after this, too. When you come off the practice squad, not used to playing in the NFL, he had a big series, was on the sidelines later in the second half. Looked like he might have needed a little oxygen. I'd be careful with picking him up, but he's someone you better keep on your radar because he is also someone we like. But the guy that we really like and is coming back and is one of our sleeper picks at running back is Damien Williams. Let's take a look at his stats. Okay, behind me you can see the stats this year for Damien Williams. He was in week 1, got banged up a couple series into the start of the first game. He had a rib injury, came back the next week. They thought maybe he could play through it, but could not, so they put him on IR. And when he comes back, which he cannot come back in week 5 because he played in week 1, Tampa Bay is a good rushing defense, so whoever plays, whether it's Tyler Algier or Caleb Huntley, they're all going to struggle against Tampa's really good rush defense. And same thing with San Francisco, but it's the weeks after. Cordell Patterson still has 2 weeks left on the IR. And when Damien Williams comes back, I wouldn't be surprised to see him getting a ton of touches. So he's another guy you better keep in mind when it comes to adding a player on your waiver wire in week 5 of the NFL season. Let's take a look at some other running backs we like this week. Okay, if you're looking for a running back, here's a guy you may want to consider picking up. like I said, this is a 12-team PPR league. So if you're in a 10-team or even less, these are the guys that might be on your list as far as the waiver wire. We got to come all the way down here to a guy named Mike Boone. Mike Boone plays for Denver. Devontae Williams got hurt. He blew his knee out. Probably going to take a year to recover. He's no longer on the active roster for the Denver Broncos. So you've got Melvin Gordon, and you got this guy that's backing up Melvin Gordon. If you got Melvin Gordon on the waiver wire, go get him. He's going to have he's going to get the first shot. Guy that's going to get the second shot is Mike Boone. Let's take a look at what he's done. Okay, as you can see right here, Mike Boone plays for the Denver Broncos. These are his stats for basically the first 4 weeks, and he hasn't done anything. He's rushed the ball a few times. He's caught a couple passes, but everybody likes the guy. As you can see up here, he's been in the league 5 years. I think he was an undrafted free agent from the Minnesota Vikings. He played for them for a few years. Alexander Mattison was a better player than him, so they kept Alexander Mattison, and this guy signed last year with the Denver Broncos, and I'll tell you what, he's in line to make some plays, so keep an eye on Mike Boone. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on him because Melvin Gordon is the guy, but that's not the only problem. Denver signed Latavius Murray today on Tuesday. Monday Night Football was last night. Today they signed Latavius Murray, New Orleans. So Latavius Murray is no longer on the New Orleans Saints. He's on the Denver Broncos. He had a chance to stay with New Orleans, but he felt like he had a better chance to revive his career in Denver, and it's probably a good pick. So Latavius Murray and Mike Boone are the two guys you want to look at on your waiver wire. Wouldn't spend a lot of money on either one of them because the bottom line is Melvin Gordon is the guy. He's going to get first shot. Whether Mike Boone or Latavius Murray can take that spot is yet to be seen. Let's take a look at some other guys I like this week. Okay, another guy I really like this week, and as you can see on the screen behind me on RT Sports, is this guy up here, Isaiah Pacheco, the Kansas City Chiefs. He's playing the Las Vegas Raiders. I tell you what, he may have taken over the backup spot to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Jerick McKinnon was the backup. Don't think that's the case anymore. This kid's a rookie. He's out of Rutgers, and he could play. And I'll tell you what, he's built. He's a big kid. He's almost 220 pounds, 6 foot. So I like Isaiah Pacheco. If he's on your waiver wire, which most leagues he's not, in this league he is, he's worth going out and getting. I would definitely put him on your roster. He could be the backup to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and sooner than later, with the injuries in the NFL, this guy could be the starter in Kansas City. Other guys we like, and let's check out some of these depth charts, are these guys. Okay, on the depth chart behind me on RT Sports is a team, Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor hurt his ankle, and they play on Thursday, so they have a short turnaround. He might not play. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's going to play, but he might not because this is their franchise guy. So guys you want to look in to see if they're on your waiver wire. Clearly, Nyheim Hines is the guy you want. He's probably going to have a pretty good day. You can see right here, there are people out here that would like this guy, Deon Jackson. Unfortunately, he hasn't done anything. He has no points in fantasy football. But I think they're going to sign somebody. Maybe he's off the practice squad or even bring him back in, who was on their roster earlier in the summer, which was Phillip Lindsay. I think Jonathan Taylor will play, but I wanted to show you this depth chart because on Thursday, it could be inactive. And if you have Jonathan Taylor in your starting lineup, you better have some options available. So I would be looking into that. And since we're on this screen, I want to make sure you guys know about Alec Pierce. This was our sleeper at wide receiver last week. We told you he was going to have a good game, and he went out and scored you 12 points in fantasy football in a PPR league for 4 catches for 80 yards on 6 targets. We told you about him last week. He was one of our sleepers. The week before that was Mac Hollis, was our sleeper at wide receiver. He would have got you 30 points. So stick around because when we talk about wide receivers, we've got a sleeper pick. just like we do at tight end, quarterback, and running back. Let's check out some other people we like on the running back situation on the waiver. Okay, behind us we have one last depth chart we're going to show you before we move on to wide receivers. I'll tell you what, the San Francisco situation out there with Jeff Wilson, he's a good running back. He plays hard, but the problem in San Francisco, nobody can stay healthy. Elijah Mitchell couldn't. Jeff Wilson can. This guy right here, Tyrone Davis-Price, he's out. He's got a high ankle sprain. The rookie here, Jordan Mason, hasn't done anything, so you can't expect any help from him. Our sleeper pick 2 weeks ago was Marlon Mack at running back. He can't seem to somehow get any playing time, even though he's been added to the active roster. But we do like Marlon Mack, but they added another guy to their practice squad who got elevated last week against the Rams on Monday night, and his name is Tevin Coleman. I'll tell you what, I keep an eye on this situation because I'm pretty sure with Jimmy Garoppolo back there, quarterback, they want to protect him. And the two guys that keep an eye on your radar for future use is Marlon Mack and Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman used to play for these guys. Recently, he's played for the Jets, and back in the day when he first came in the league, he used to play for the Atlanta Falcons. Okay, here we are looking at wide receivers for the waiver wire in week 5 of the NFL season. And at the top of the list, we haven't talked about Josh Reynolds down there in Detroit. Josh Reynolds used to play for the Rams, was behind some really good players, and basically signed as a free agent with Jared Goff, who we've also been mentioning for weeks at quarterback. These guys have a history together because they used to play for the Rams. And we told you in week 2 and week 3 that, you should go out and get this guy. We'll put a link up here so you can go back and watch week 2 of the waiver wire report, and you'll see we mentioned Josh Reynolds. And let's take a look and see what he did over the last couple weeks and why you should go out and get him. As you can see right here, in week 2 or 3, we mentioned Josh Reynolds as a viable wide receiver you should go out and get. And I'll tell you what, man, he's lived up to, I think the Rams wish they still had him because look, 12.8, 15.6, 21 point, that's a lot. That's a lot of points for a wide receiver. And that's, you can start this guy. Against New England might be a tough matchup. Then they go on their bye. But, and this is a tough schedule right here. Dallas, Miami, Green Bay, Chicago, the Giants, Buffalo. So temper your expectations. This is a tough schedule. And I think Detroit's done a great job up to this point. But their scoring might fall off here because they've had a pretty, easy schedule here the last few weeks. So Josh Reynolds, somebody we think you should consider. Other guys on this list, let's go back and take a look at them. Of course, on this list is Russell Gage. We've mentioned him for weeks now. He had pretty much one good game. Let's take a look at that situation. As you can see, he's not doing too bad. Week 1, they had all their players. And down there in Tampa, when you have Julio Jones and Mike Evans and, Chris Godwin, who didn't play at the beginning of this season. I mean, it's tough for this guy to score a lot of points. But if any of those guys are missing, this is the guy that's going to step in. So I wouldn't surprise to see him play well against his old team, Atlanta. So he's somebody I'd be looking at. Let's take a look at some other guys I like on this list. Some guys that you might not find on your waiver wire that we've been talking about for weeks are players like Corey Davis of the New York Jets. Look, if Corey Davis is on your waiver wire, go out and get him. I mean, he's going to put together a pretty good season, as you can see with the stuff we put up here. I mean, he's had a decent season, but with Zach Wilson back, he likes to target Corey Davis. Another guy that's coming back, Rondelle Moore. Rondelle Moore didn't do much last week against Carolina, as you can see here. But I'll tell you what, he's still a good player. And with DeAndre Hopkins coming back and Marquise Brown struggling through injuries, I mean, he was the only player they had. Rondelle Moore might be a good player you want to pick up. But the guy that I want to mention and you should go out and get, and if he's on your waiver wire, you're very fortunate, is George Pickens. George Pickens of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, this kid had a injury-filled career at Georgia. He was very unlucky, fell to the second round of the NFL draft. And if you want to know more about George Pickens, we did a NFL pre-draft special on this kid. And you can check out the link. We'll put it up here. And you can watch and see what his stats are and how he did in college and what we think of him. But he's somebody you should go out and get because, Kenny Pickett is the new quarterback in Pittsburgh. And these guys have had a lot of practice time together. And I'll tell you what, man, if you get a chance to go out and get this kid, you better hop on it because he's going to be a special, special player. Okay, some guys that aren't on this list behind me at wide receiver that we really like and we've been mentioning for weeks. We just can't keep dwelling on them every week, and we'll put a link up so that you can watch weeks 2, 3, and 4 because we talked about all these guys. Is Isaiah Mackenzie of Buffalo with Jamison Crowder hurt? This guy's going to get a lot more playing time, and he's already having a good year, as you can see on these stats behind me. Jacoby Myers for New England is another really good player we like. You've got Parker, Bourne, and Aguilar down there. I'll tell you right now, man, this kid is going to be a good player for you this year if he's on your waiver wire. Another player we talked about in weeks past is Michael Gallup. He come off of injured reserve, and he's fighting for playing time with CeeDee Lamb and Noah Brown. I like him. And another guy that's coming off IR in the next few weeks that you should keep on your radar that we've been talking about for weeks now is this guy, Damien Williams from Detroit. He's a rookie. Other guys we like that aren't on the list behind us are Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson has been on IR, or he's been, for the last few weeks. He's not going to come back to week 7 or 8. Look, keep him on your radar. I mean, people aren't always up on who's on IR and when they're coming back. But Van Jefferson for the Rams, once he comes back like Damien Williams, these guys are going to produce. And if you put them on your roster and they help you win a championship, that's what it's all about. And our sleeper pick for this week is this guy, Jamal Agnew down there in Jacksonville. Look what he did last week. I'll tell you right now, man, you can't ask for more. I mean, they had some injured players like Zay Jones, and this kid took that spot, had 2 TDs, 4 catches, 51 yards, and 6 targets. There you go. If you want a good player, Jamal Agnew, he seems to do this every year. He's probably waiting for some sort of breakout. But, if injuries occur down there in Jacksonville, he's a nice young player. He's got a running back number. So if you see a highlight and you think, well, what's number 39 or whatever his number is? Well, that's his number he chose, man. He can play running back, maybe wide receiver. And he's somebody I'd be thinking about as a sleeper pick for week 5 of the NFL season. Let's take a look at some tight ends we like. Week 5. Okay, here's a list of some tight ends that are widely available in a lot of, PPR leagues on the waiver wire. We'll get into some of these guys, but guys I've liked and we've been talking about for 2 or 3 weeks, and hopefully you've watched the show and listened, are guys like Jack Conklin of the New York Jets. He's putting up an amazing season, as you can see with the stats behind me. If you get a chance, Zach Wilson is the new quarterback, but they're still going to utilize the tight end there. You can see his stats are amazing. Logan Thomas, former quarterback for Arizona, went to the Washington Commanders and became a decent tight end. He's putting up small numbers, but he's someone you should keep an eye on. And, of course, this guy here, Irv Smith, he's another great player out of Minnesota. If he's on your waiver wire, I'd go out and get him because I think he's going to have a good year. But guys that might be on your waiver wire that we like, other than those guys that are on this list, is Robert Tanya. Check out what Robert Tanya did last week and the week before. He had a knee injury last year about this time, and it takes about this long before they recover. So he's starting to become someone I would pick up off the waiver wire. And guys, another guy that's not on this list is Hayden Hurst. Check out what he's doing. I'm telling you what, man, this guy's a baller, and Cincinnati likes him. So he's going to have an amazing season the rest of this year as long as he's healthy. And guys that are on this list that I like, I tell you what, let's take a look at Mo Alley-Cox for the Indianapolis Colts. Look, he had 6 receptions, 85 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Mo Alley Cox, they like to throw the ball to the tight end over there, Matt Ryan, and with no Jonathan Taylor maybe Thursday night. I don't know if Mo Alley Cox is someone you'd be considering, but I would be, and I like him. Other guys on this list that I like are Taysom Hill for the New Orleans Saints. You're saying, I thought he was a quarterback. Well, in some leagues, he's a tight end. As you can see here on RT Sports, they got him listed as a tight end. Week 1, he had 15 points. He didn't play much because of a rib injury or a foot injury, whatever he's got going on down there. He had a touchdown, 5 rushing attempts, 21 yards, and a touchdown. Plus, he plays tight end, so he does catch balls, and he plays quarterback. So if your league, like RT Sports, has this guy as a tight end and he ends up playing quarterback for a half a game, you could end up getting 20, 30 points out of this guy. So I do like Taysom Hill. And another guy I really like, and he plays for Denver. Denver has Albert O, they call him, and his name is Oakley Boonham, Albert Oakley Boonham. And I'll tell you what, he's not doing anything. I don't have much hopes for him. If he's on your roster, I'd probably get rid of him. But the backup, his name is this guy here, Greg Dulcich. As you can see here, he has no stats. And he's a rookie out of UCLA, 6'4", 245 pounds. Well, in our NFL pre-draft special, we talked about this guy. That's how I know who he is. 35 years playing fantasy football. I know if you want to win championships, you better know who's coming into the league. We do NFL draft preseason specials on all these guys. You can check out the link above me and look at Greg Dulcich. I'll tell you what, this kid's a player. If you want a sleeper at tight end, go out and maybe pick him up in a couple weeks or keep him on your radar. Because I tell you what, I think he's going to be the next best thing out there in Denver. And it may take him a couple weeks because he's coming off of IR. That's why he has no points here. I tell you what, we got to finish up this video. So we're going to take a look at some quarterbacks, some kickers, and defenses real quick. It won't take long, so stick around. We got sleepers at all them. Okay, behind us we have a list of quarterbacks that may be available on your waiver wire. For weeks now, we've been telling you about Jared Goff. He went out and put up another 4 touchdowns. His schedule starts to get tougher, so you may need a quarterback that is on your waiver wire. And I'll tell you what, we got some good ones here. Last week, we told you about Geno Smith. We said he had a good matchup against Detroit. He might be worth picking up. Let's take a look and see what he did. As you can see here, Geno Smith put up 34 points, 23 of 30, 320 yards, and 2 TDs. And he rushed for 49 yards. That's pretty good. That he had a good day, but he was playing, Detroit. There are some players that we think they can do just as good. Let's check them out. Okay, if you want a good player that is not on anybody's radar and he's on every waiver wire, it's this guy down here. As you can see here, Teddy Bridgewater from Miami. Tua Tagovailoa is not playing. They're playing the Jets. He scored 13 points in the second half the other night. When you have players like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki and running backs, as many as you can run out there, players like we've talked about, Chase Edmonds and Raheem Mostert, that's a good lineup. And they're playing the Jets. And I can tell you right now in New York, it's going to be decent weather. Hopefully it's not raining or anything. Teddy Bridgewater is going to play well. So if you want a quarterback, maybe a sleeper pick, he's one of our sleeper picks, go out and get Teddy Bridgewater. And another guy we like, and this is like real deep sleeper stuff, is whatever quarterback's playing for New England. Bailey Zappi ended up finishing the game against Green Bay. He wasn't horrible. I mean, the guy threw 60 touchdown passes his senior year for like Western Kentucky or whatever he played in college. So he's someone you should be looking at. I'm not sure he's going to be the starter. I mean, they do have Brian Hoyer out there. He had a concussion in the Green Bay game, so he may be the starter. But I'll tell you what, Detroit's defense is suspect at best. And New England's going to run the ball. So those running backs over there, Harris and Stevenson, are going to have a big game. But whatever quarterback, those are the guys I'd like to have. I'm telling you, they're on your waiver wire, go get them. The running backs for New England. But they're also going to throw the ball because they have to. Detroit can somehow score a lot of points. So the quarterback for New England might be a pretty good bet. As far as kickers and defenses this week, if you want a really good kicker, I mean, the kicker in Atlanta, I mean, he's in a dome, Young Hoku, that's his name. The guy seems to score a lot of points. We'll put up his stats here. As you can see, the guy every week is leading the league in kicking. So he's the number one fantasy option. Even if he's on your waiver wire, he's still the number one option in fantasy football. He has been a good kicker for years. And another guy we really like is this guy here. He's on a lot of waiver wires, including this one, is Brett Maher. He's been in the league for a while, 4 years, kicked for many teams. And you can see, man, the guy's just putting up 12 and 16 points because, let's face it, Cowboys can't always, get a touchdown. So they go to this guy, and he's probably going to have the same thing with Los Angeles, Philly, Detroit, Chicago. So if you need a kicker, go out and get Brett Maher. And if you need a good defense this week, I'll tell you right now, I do like the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. They play the Texans, so I think they can, stop them, and that's a good thing. And if you want a defense for this week or maybe for the next 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, New England Patriots, even though they're having problems at quarterback, their defense is still solid, and they have an amazing schedule. Anyways, that's it for our Week 5 Waiver Wire Report. I'm Buster Brown. The show is called Redemption Rehab. Good luck.